Well, welcome back to another What's Going On with Sir John and Lady D. With none other than my friend and yours, Lady D, and of course, the anomaly, Sir John. Take it away, Lady D.
All right, welcome back for part 2 of our show, What's Going On. And we have some wonderful guests here in the house. We have Darnella Allen with the LEAP Organization Program. And we have Linda Kimball with CDC, Center Dialysis. Let me get it right. I always twist it up.
Centers for Dialysis Care.
That's right. Okay. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hello.
And what a nice Sunday afternoon we're having here in Cleveland. Yeah, we're going to take the rain.
Yeah, better than, like I said the last show, better than snow.
Better than
As
snow.
they're playing, hopefully they're doing well.
Uh-huh.
All
You know?
right. Excellent.
Hey, it's rain, but it's not snow, so we're doing good.
Yes,
We're
we
doing
are. Yes, we are.
And we're here today. We're going to just enlighten you, our Northeast Ohioers, of all this wonderful information because this is so important dealing with one's health.
Absolutely.
So we're going to start with you, Darnella Allen. Tell us about you and your program.
Well, I am Darnella Allen, and I'm with Liver Education Advocacy and Prevention Services, which is known as LEAPS. And LEAPS is the only African American agency in Cleveland and I think in Ohio that deals specifically with liver disease in the African American community. Uh-huh. And the reason that it came about is because I also live with the liver disease diagnosis. And as a result of that diagnosis, it sent me looking for information and searching to see what was my prognosis as far as healing. And it was a ministry that was birthed from need.
Okay.
And so what I do, what LEAPS does, is educate the community on liver disease, on the impact of the family. We're a nonprofit. Everything we do pretty much is free of charge. As a matter of fact, even this coming weekend, we have a conference, and this nice lady is going to come and speak for us
Wonderful.
to educate on organ donation.
Okay.
And so, you know, I talk about things like that the liver, a lot of times we don't think about our liver until it starts acting up.
Right.
Okay.
Because you
Yeah.
think it can take a chicken and keep on
Keep
cooking.
on ticking and kicking, and it's right here, right below the diaphragm, and it's the largest organ in the body.
Oh.
And blood from the digestive system goes, everything filters through the liver. Anything you ingest, inhale, imbibe, it goes through the liver. Whatever you put on your skin, when you're outside breathing in toxins, the colognes, the soap, everything that has to go through your liver.
So it's a filter of the body.
It's a filter. And it performs over 500 functions in the course of a day. That's a lot of work.
Yeah.
A lot of work.
I was reading that too. I saw that. I was like 500.
That's a lot of work. And
That you're not even thinking about.
you don't think about it. You just live. It removes all your toxins. It processes food nutrients. It regulates our metabolism. But a lot of things that can stop it from working right is accumulating fat. There's a thing called fatty liver disease. And I talk to our community because it's a result a lot of times of what we eat.
Right.
We do not think about all the things that we put in our body, all the fatty foods and what have you, and they build up. And it's one of those things that can lead to scarring, which is called cirrhosis, which can kill us.
So let me ask you about cirrhosis of the liver. I've always thought that would come from someone drinking alcohol.
I knew she was going to say that.
You know, it is because,
because they
that's
always-
when we hear about it.
Yeah.
Right.
Cirrhosis means scarring.
Right.
And that scarring can come from a number of ways. Anything that's damaging your liver for a while at some point is going to cause that scarring. But we only think of it as far as alcohol.
Okay.
And fatty liver disease is one of the things that's killing us as a race the fastest because of the way that we eat,
Our
the food
diet.
that we consume and what have you, yeah. Other things that affect it is, in our community in particular, do you notice now that the new alcohol that they have is $2 a can, is about this big.
Yeah.
It's called
Yeah.
malt liquor, it has a high alcohol content, and our young people just drink it. Sometimes they have a whole 40 ounce, each person has a 40 ounce. That does a lot of damage. So because of marketing and the fact that they only sell them in our community, And we are more susceptible, our livers, to alcoholism. So we're being set up from so many different fronts that we are not even aware of just because of lifestyle, because it's cheap. We have food deserts. So we got a lot of fast foods and those dollar stores or whatever you call them that have nothing but bad food and cheap food. We don't have a lot of produce. And if someone has to get on a bus to go buy groceries, they're going to go across the street to the 7-Eleven. So we don't have in our neighborhood where you can go to the greengrocer. So there's so many variables that are involved, but so nobody's educating us. So we just look at feeding our kids, you know, or feeding ourselves, whichever is quicker. McDonald's is across the street. All of these factors are playing a part in our neighborhoods and decimating our family unit. Because of what liver disease, as someone who lives with it, it's long, debilitating, it's painful a lot of days, it's progressive, and most of the time you don't even know it until it starts having symptoms, and by then it's pretty extensive.
Symptoms, what are
I was going to say, what are some of the symptoms?
I'm glad you asked that.
Okay.
Not that I brought any notes or anything. Because there are so many of them, and one of the major ones that we tend to notice is jaundice.
Okay.
You know, when people's eyes begin to
Yellow?
turn yellow.
Okay.
Hepatitis is one of those illnesses in our community that is, we're 12% of the population, but maybe a third of the diagnosis is in the United States. Over 3 million people have hepatitis C. And so, but you don't know it because it's known as the silent killer. So until you start having these symptoms, most people, you go to the doctor and say, oh, I feel kind of tired, I feel like I have the flu, and they'll diagnose you with exhaustion or what have you. But some of the symptoms are jaundice, dark urine, when your urine becomes very dark. A lot of times we know it's not enough water.
Right.
And that can be a symptom. Nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, loss of appetite, weight loss. Just that general, what I just described, malaise of just not feeling good. But not, for me, it was for years going to the doctor saying, I'm just tired. But they another thing, they don't check for things like hepatitis if you go to the doctor because it's expensive. And there was no cure, so it's kind of like if the doctor finds that he bought it, he got to treat it. So they don't want to treat it because there was no cure. So they don't test for it. So you have to ask. Fever, bloated abdomen, swollen ankles, abdominal pain, black stools, meaning that there's blood in there somewhere. It changes. Your liver, when your liver's not filtering, all those toxins have to go somewhere. And a lot of times it gets into the brain, and you get what's called brain fog. And I equate it to, do you remember All in the Family? Edith Bunker. Somebody would say something funny, and 10 minutes later she'd say, oh, because she finally gets it.
Right.
That's how brain fog is.
Wow.
It slows you down.
Right.
And so
I'm afraid not.
but yeah, those are just some of the things, and so that's why LEAPS is here, because once I began to learn and talking to people and find out how many of us don't know, don't think about it, and don't even ask the doctor, well, when you get a lab, what do these numbers mean?
Right.
High ALTs, what does that mean?
Right, the little abbreviations.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And most of the time, we don't even read them, even though Cleveland Clinic and my chart, you can see them if you go in there. Most of us don't even read them and see what they said the blood work we take finds. So that's what LEAPS is here about, and to ask people to, just encourage our community, because we're dying and no one's talking. And last but not least, the medications that they give us.
Yes.
So hard on the livers.
Yes.
And nobody tells us.
Yes.
Most of us don't drink enough water,
Yeah.
so that medicine is just sitting down in here.
Yeah.
So we're have a lot of self-defeating behaviors.
Wow.
Take care of your liver, and it will take much better care of you, people.
All right. Well, with that being said,
Wow.
we're going to move on over here
That was a
to
lot of effort.
prevent yourself from not being on dialysis. Linda, tell us all about CDC.
Okay, thanks for having me here today. And one of
Yes.
the reasons why I was so excited about being here this month specifically is because April is Donate Life Month and also Minority Health Month. So my name is Linda Kimball. Once again, I am the executive director for Cleveland MOTEP. I'm housed at the Centers for Dialysis Care, and Cleveland MOTEP stands for Minority Organ Tissue Transplant Education Program. And what I do there is I am there to decrease the number and rate of people in need of organ and tissue transplants, and through prevention education. And prevention education is we actually have a teen summit that we're going to have on April 20th, where we actually have a bunch of teenagers from local high schools such as Cleveland Metropolitan School District, East Cleveland, University Heights, Cleveland Heights, and where we actually talk to them about organ and tissue donation, but also health and wellness, just like Darnella was talking about drinking water, about eating good food and everything, not eating hot Cheetos for breakfast and a Red Bull for breakfast. That's not a good breakfast for anybody, adults or teenagers, especially growing bodies and everything. And we also talk about the myths and misconceptions about organ and tissue donation, because not a lot of people know that minorities are on the waiting list more so than any other ethnic background than anybody else. I am housed at the Centers for Dialysis Care, located at 117th and Euclid Avenue, and the population of the dialysis patients are becoming younger and younger.
Really?
When I first started at the Centers for Dialysis Care in 2011, there was a young lady I would see every other day, and I just assumed because of her age that she was dropping somebody off. But I noticed that she would have like bags with her, and I was like thinking to myself, why is she bringing a bag with her if she's just dropping somebody off? And then I kind of figured things out that she was actually a patient. So she was in her early 20s, and the reason why I kept on noticing her, because she kind of reminded me of my niece.
Okay.
So it's just a sad reality that people are becoming younger and younger with organ failure. So that's why I'm so passionate about what I'm doing, because every person I get to sign up to become an organ donor, I think to myself, maybe I'm actually signing somebody up who actually potentially will save somebody's life as a new organ and tissue donor.
Right.
So prevention education, we have the Healthy Teens, Healthy Tomorrow Teen Summit. That's one of our programs also, and we also have tables at different healthcare facilities where we sign people up and educate people about organ and tissue donation. For instance, if somebody's at UH and you're at the atrium going to get your chicken wings and going to get your French fries and everything, one of my volunteers might stop you and ask you, Darnella, are you an organ donor? And if you're already an organ donor, you'll get a free gift. If you're not an organ donor, then they're going to engage you in a conversation to find out exactly why you're not an organ donor and give you some education about the need for organ donation, especially in our minority community. You may never become an organ donor, but we're going to give you some good information about the need out there for people to be an organ donor. Because, like I said before, we're on the waiting list more so than anybody else. And one of the reasons why we're on the waiting list and there's more organ failure in our community is because of diabetes and high blood pressure. And I could hazard a guess that everybody in this room probably has somebody in their family who has high blood pressure or diabetes. Yes. And there is that correlation between those two chronic diseases with organ failure. Like I said before, when I started at the Centers for Dialysis Care, the majority of people who are actually being dialyzed 3 days a week, they had out of control high blood pressure or out of control diabetes. So that's the reality that we have, and that's the reality we have with the actual young people that go to our teen summit. My very first teen summit, I just sat there as a student, like I was a teenager myself, and they asked questions of the students. And one of the instructors asked one of the teenagers in a group of 35 students, majority of African Americans, how many of you guys know of somebody who's going through dialysis? I would say 95% of those students actually raised their hand. At that age, as a high school student, I wouldn't have been able to even tell you what dialysis was. I would have been like, what's dialysis?
Right.
But they know what dialysis is because that's their reality. Their uncles are going through dialysis. Their grandmother's going through dialysis. So this is the sad reality, and that's the reason why it's so important for our organization, Cleveland MOTEP, to be in existence, because we're actually raising awareness. We're giving them really good information as far as prevention. The day starts off with them getting their blood pressure taken. They eat a healthy breakfast, no hot Cheetos and Red Bull for them. And they go out to breakout sessions where they learn about chronic diseases such as diabetes and high blood pressure. We have a Zumba instructor, we have a yoga instructor, because we want to engage them and we want them to realize that they need to actually start moving around. I mean, they have sports and everything, but
Right.
we realize that in this society, especially with young people, they spend a lot of time just on their phones and everything, that they don't move around. Because I remember when I was younger, we used to play outside and
Right.
everything, and
Right.
play hide and seek, run around and everything. They don't do that nowadays.
Kickball.
So yeah, kickball. Yeah, I remember kickball. I used to love kickball. So they love our Zumba classes, but one of the exciting things is I get to see the athletes like try to do the yoga poses and everything. And the reality is that you could do very low cost things, because I love to go to the Cleveland Metro Parks and walk in the woods and everything.
Right.
So that costs nothing.
Right.
And also it is free. Yeah. You just have to buy some sneakers, good sneakers and everything,
Yeah.
and they last a long time and everything. So that's what we're doing. Part of what we're doing as far as prevention education. We're going out to the healthcare facilities and spreading the word. We have our teen summit, but I also do things. I go out to the churches and spread the word. I go to community events, etc. So that's what we're doing out as far as Cleveland MOTAP. We've been in existence since 1995. And we actually specifically target the minority community. And once again, the reason why we target the minority community is because we're on the waiting list more so than anybody else, but also because we realize that minorities do not sign up to become organ donors like everybody else.
So
Yes.
what are, and I probably can tell you all of them because I'm not an organ donor. So what are the misconceptions?
Some of the misconceptions are that if I am an organ donor, then the doctor will let me die. Yes. Yes, Darnella knows that one. So my cousin, who I love dearly, I saw him recently and I told him what I was doing now and everything since 2011. And he said, well, I'm not going to become an organ donor because they're just going to let me die and if they find out I'm an organ donor and everything. So I was like, so if you're in an emergency and everything, that doctor is not a transplant surgeon. He is actually not skilled to actually transplant your kidneys and your heart and everything to another person. Then he's like, oh, I didn't realize that. And also, your organs are not viable for a long period of time also. So that's one of the myths. Another myth is that sometimes there's a basic mistrust of the medical community, especially in the minority community. Yes.
Oh, I got that too.
Oh, you got that too. You got a lot.
I was gonna ask you. I'm so glad you're here because the Tuskegee experiment.
Yes, and I was going to bring that one up.
Please.
In Tuskegee syphilis study that happened in the 1940s,
Right.
we realized that one. And also, Oprah Winfrey did a great job. I read the book, The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks, and Oprah Winfrey did a really great job with that story about a poor sharecropper. I think she was a sharecropper
Yes.
who actually her cells were utilized without her knowledge, kept on being reproduced. Really great work was done with her as far as research and everything, but her family did not know her cells were being reproduced. She did not know her cells were being reproduced. So we as a race, we have been used specifically as guinea pigs. So
Right.
the thought that you're going to use my organs to actually save somebody's life, some people are kind of leery about that.
Yeah.
So
Since it's been done to us in the past.
it's been
without
done to
our-
us. Yeah.
Without our
And without our
knowledge.
knowledge.
Without our
Yes,
knowledge.
yes. If you think about it, Tuskegee syphilis study was done in the 1940s for a lot of years.
Yes.
My nephew went to Tuskegee University, and he called me up and he was like, Auntie Linda, can you believe this? This is what happened? Because he was doing a lot of research on it and everything. So if you talk to, especially to older African Americans, they'll say, I'm not doing that diabetes study because you remember the Tuskegee syphilis study and everything. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, this continues to come up and everything. So that's why we actually have to educate the public about what's happening in our community about organ, eye, and tissue donation.
Okay.
Can
Yes.
I ask another question?
Sure,
I'm sorry.
sure.
Go ahead.
I want to know.
Go ahead.
I told her in the hallway, I said, I'm so glad you're here because I would have told you what I read, but you can tell me what you know for real.
Right.
And when I try to tell people that are waiting on transplant livers, because that's what I deal with, and they talk about the Tuskegee, and I don't trust them and what have you, And when I asked other people, they said, well, they got a right to. So I said, but I need a better argument.
Mhm.
And so again, some more of what you tell them.
Mm-hmm. Well, things have changed. There is now a board that actually looks at all the research study that actually, before you can actually do a medical research, they have to go through a rigorous board with the medical institutions and everything. So things have changed since 1940s. So it's not happening like it used to happen and everything. So it's IRB, and I'm pretty sure that's what it is. It's the IRB that actually has to look through any kind of research. If you, like Darnella, you can all of a sudden say, I want to start doing a research on liver disease and everything. I want to choose all like 25 members off the street and everything. I'm just
In a
going to start doing
commercial or something.
Exactly. And I just want to do whatever research I want to do. No, you actually have to go through a lot of rigorous, they have to look at a lot
Vetting.
of things and everything. You can't even do a survey without actually going through a lot of different constraints and everything. So a lot of things has happened since the Tuskegee syphilis study.
So a lot of
and everything.
review,
A
a
lot
lot
of
of
review.
vetting
Exactly.
you have to do before you can get that going.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
and one of the reasons why it has changed so much is because of the Tuskegee syphilis study. The incident that happened with Henrietta Lacks happened in probably about the same time as the
Yeah, it was like a
Tuskegee
little bit
study.
afterwards. I think,
Exactly,
right?
yeah, a little bit afterwards. Yeah. So 1940s it was a long time ago, but it still is. It's a legacy that is not very good for our community. Yes.
I have a question because I was just speaking with my stepmom mom because my stepmother is in the hospital now, and her kidneys is not functioning properly, and they don't know what's going on. Right now, we're not have to put her on dialysis, but is that something that's reversible? If you were to go on dialysis, can they come back and repair themselves, and you can come off of dialysis, or is it once you're on dialysis, that's it?
That's it. You have to actually have a transplant. Yes.
So is that different with liver? Because the liver is one of those organs, or the only
They
one?
are trying to say that sometimes they can do living donors, but even that's, they're still working with. But if your liver goes, if it's
It goes.
cirrhosis, it's scarred so badly that it cannot function anymore. So without a transplant, you're pretty much going to die.
So there's no repairing.
No.
When it reaches that scarred stage. If it hasn't been damaged, someone with hepatitis can get treated and it can repair itself then because the fibrosis and
Right.
everything is gone. But once it's gone, it's gone.
And with kidney, it's either a cadaver donor or it's a living kidney donor.
Yeah,
Yes.
you can be a living donor.
Yeah.
with kidney.
Because you can actually live with
With one
one
kidney.
kidney.
Yes, you can. Yes,
Right,
you can.
right.
Yeah.
One of the Cleveland Motab's advisory board members actually donated her kidney to one of her best friends, and she's living very well with one kidney. Yes. Very active.
That is awesome. And how many centers do we have
For dialysis.
for dialysis?
Specifically for Centers for Dialysis Care, we have 18 facilities
In Northeastern Ohio?
in the surrounding suburbs. Yes.
Because I know there's one down the street from me on Chagrin Boulevard.
Yes.
Me too.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah,
what
yeah.
I
That's
thought.
where my uncle goes.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
That's right.
Yes.
So how is it for someone that's on dialysis and far as traveling if they, because don't you have to go a couple of times a week?
3 times a week for close to I would say about 4 hours. And they get transportation. Either you can actually, it depends on how the dialysis patients react to the dialysis. Like if some of my volunteers are actually dialysis patients, you might have enough energy to actually drive yourself, or you might actually have a paratransit actually pick you up and drop
Right.
you off and everything.
Right.
Some of my dialysis patients, I've had some of my dialysis patients that after their dialysis treatment and everything would go to work, or they would actually just go shopping or just go about their business. But some of my actual volunteers that were dialysis patients, immediately after their dialysis, they would go home and take a nap.
That's what my mom did,
Yes.
because my mother was on dialysis for a while. And she actually thanked you for the service because they picked her up
Yes.
and they brought her back home, and she did go.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the reason, and she had to go because she was a heart transplant patient.
Mm-hmm.
And everything went well for a while, but then she started retaining all this fluid and she blew up and they could not, they take it off and it come back. And the doctor said, this was the last resort, was to put her on dialysis. They put her on that, everything flushed all away, but, she didn't per se like it, and she was just thankful for her time being here. She lived a full life, so she was okay. She was ready to move on.
May I add something?
Sure. I mean,
It's
we're
a
having a
conversation.
conversation.
I know, but
So
see,
jump
I'll sit
in.
here and answer so many questions, and I'm so
Yeah, go ahead,
excited.
go
We're
ahead.
here to educate.
But yeah, I have a number of friends right now that are waiting on transplant, and all of them. Well, some need kidneys, but mainly liver, because that's who I get the calls from. And I have a friend now that called me last night, and she said, "Okay, I'm back." They called me because they carry the phone with them, and said they have a viable liver. I have to come in. And so she called me from the hospital. She'd been there 14 hours, and I'm saying this because take care of your body. Because just because you hear they're transplant, that is not a good transplant. Is more than you going in the hospital, they give you an organ and you come back home. And
But you
life
have
is
to be
well.
matched.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
You have to match. They have to match
She
you.
has been there. She told me last night. This is the 6th time that she has been called to the hospital. She stays in there about 14 hours. She can't eat. They're taking all sorts of blood, all sorts of tests. Every time they have to do the things all over.
Yep.
Because the one that's donating has not died yet, but they know they're going. They got to do the matching. And one of the times when it got there, the liver, the organ had some, whatever it was, and it wasn't viable. So if you can, I'm saying take care of what you got now.
Right.
Because even being called 6 times.
It's not a
Yeah.
guarantee.
Oh, it's never a guarantee. No, yeah.
And there's a shortage.
Yeah, because my mom, she was very blessed to be able to go the 4th time, and they had the match, and it went, they did it. But here's what mother always said, you got to do preventive medicine. Take care of your body. Take care of you while you can. And like you said, our neighborhoods are flooded with all the garbage. Our corner stores are loaded with every kind of flavor, $1.19 beverage with some alcohol in there to give you a buzz, but it's killing you with all the sugar and all the other junk that's in there. We're loaded with all the processed foods and potato chips and all of that. And people have came away from actually getting in that kitchen and cooking some really good, healthy meals and staying away from scratch. Because even our box products, they're there for shelf life, so it's nothing of substance. And then if you're on medication, you're not. You just have to do all of those things. My question is the detoxing. Now we have a lot of detox products that you can buy over the
or have someone do to you.
Right. How is that? How
For
Are those
liver,
valuable?
for the liver, it is not something that people that know about the liver even encourage any kind of medicine, even herbal.
Okay.
Because the liver, if it's just
If it's scarred,
go to your doctor.
Well, I'm
and-
saying as far as cleansing your system, to detox and cleanse your system, is that something to help prevent you from?
Is that a preventive
for-
measure?
Again, just for me, because I just know with liver disease, it's not.
I think some of the best things, and Darnella kind of brought it up, is to, and it's hard for me too, because I do not like drinking water. My mother used to drink water like it was just like wonderful, and I have to force myself to drink water. And one of the things that you brought up is like eating fruits and vegetables. If you like to actually juice that and everything, make smoothies and everything with fruits and vegetables and everything, and drink a lot of water. You don't like vegetables?
Water.
What are you gonna do? What you gonna do?
I have to take his stuff away from him.
Okay. So, drink is difficult, like with water. If you don't like water, so I don't like water. So one of the things I have to do to make myself drink water is actually to infuse it, and I don't like to infuse water with like lemon or citrusy stuff. So I infuse it with cucumbers and actual strawberries.
Okay.
So that actually, and I don't like warm water, so I have to make it cold. So I have to kind of trick myself to actually enjoy water instead of drinking drinking that soda, which is like one of the things I do like. But I make myself drink water, as much water as possible. I also drink smoothies, and I put those vegetables in there because I trick myself into eating those vegetables, because then I'll put fruit in there too to make it sweet. But then it still has spinach in there, and then it still has kale. But who knows? You really can't tell if it's in there. You have to trick yourself. And one of the cool things about the city of Cleveland is happening nowadays is there's a lot of urban farmers and everything that's happening.
Right.
And there's a lot of chances where you do have the urban farmers, and a lot of chances where they actually have a lot of chefs that show you exactly how to make healthy food taste good. And that's a possibility. Before I came here, I had some spinach, and I put some olive oil and some garlic and everything, and red pepper flakes and everything, and that's what I had for lunch.
And
that was basically it.
If you're dealing with liver or even diabetes, because I love smoothies also, but my doctor let me know, being careful of what you put in the smoothie, because a lot of
sugar.
The sugar
Yes.
in the fruits. Green vegetables are always your safest and the most healthy, and what have you. But back to the cleanses.
Right.
I haven't read studies from the medical field that says that it's something that we should do, even though they may not say don't do it.
Okay.
But the natural is always the best.
Yeah.
Always the best.
All right, so that was a good question, because you got all those YouTube videos on how detoxing, from the feet detoxing to this detoxing, the drinking the tea detoxing, which my mother has done forever, and fasting.
The tea detoxing, I have a friend that drank that, and it just like the diet tea. And it worked.
Yeah.
But what it did was mess her up as far as even her bodily function, because the tea was doing the work, and she got her system used to it. And so it would not function anymore when it came time to her bathroom habits, because there had been so much damage. So even those things, you can
over-process yourself with doing that.
You can buy stuff out of the hair store. When they sell it in the hair store, it's probably not good.
See? I'm not a fan of fasting or detoxing. So that helps out.
Well, I drink plenty of. I love water.
Very good.
I drink water all day because I just love it, and I do. I put lemon in my water, and we put now the apple cider vinegar.
Yes,
I do that.
That's another thing.
Is that good for us?
Now is that good? Is that
No,
something?
I hear that actually is.
It is good.
It is okay, because I drink it, religiously. Everybody at my job got a big old bottle of apple cider vinegar. You do. You got your.
I got y'all all doing it. It was I who mentioned it.
Oh, okay. John's gonna take it. But however, I make it as a cocktail drink. My apple cider and water and lemon. And it's my cocktail drink.
That's how I drink my water most of the time. If I don't forget. To not drink water, because I can go days without.
I believe
which is
that
not
even,
good.
Whatever it takes to get you to drink water, I think it helps.
But
It does.
our body needs water because we're
Exactly.
made out of water.
Out of water.
We're pretty much 90% of water.
So I use flavors, those packets, because I don't like water either. But I learned that if you get up in the morning and the first thing you do is drink water,
that's
it'll
another
start
thing
that
that's helped.
whole system to move.
Right, warm water too, because
And they say warm water.
warm
is best.
water,
Warm water
because
is best,
cold water
yes.
puts your system in shock,
Exactly.
and you should drink hot tea or even just plain hot water after your meals, because it helps get the food moving so that you can, take care of your business and be
Isn't it
regulated.
interesting? Everything that we're naming are simple things, inexpensive things, the very things that most of us don't do until something happens.
Because water's, you pay for it, but
But it's
there.
there.
Yeah.
And most of the things, especially in our community, we don't have a lot of you telling us, or a lot of me, or a lot of you putting it out there that's telling the community, these are the free, like you said, going out and walking. So many things our people just do not know.
Yeah, so that's one of the things that we make sure that our presenters are telling the teens and our. So we're not telling our teens that go to a gym and spend hundreds of dollars and everything. And our yoga instructor actually teaches at a local Y for very inexpensive, and she does free classes also. So she always has that free information for the students, because they'll come to her after class and say, oh, I really enjoyed that yoga class and everything. Where is it? I can actually take a yoga class. If she's not teaching a class, she'll actually she'll get them involved with a place where they can actually take a free yoga class and everything.
And that's one of the best exercises you can do. I think one of the healthiest part of my life is when I was doing yoga regularly. So
yes.
And for me, I get up and do it on YouTube. They
Yes.
have yoga for everything. They got yoga for seniors, yoga for people with back problems,
Yoga
chair
for larger women.
larger-
Yes.
Every yoga you want is on YouTube, where you can do it right in your home.
because my mother has done it since I was little. PBS. There used to be, what's her name, Lily or something. She used to do it every day in the mornings. And my mother would do it every morning and got us doing it, or then eventually it was just me and her. But she has done it, all the time. And I think that's one of the things that it's really kept her healthy.
Yes.
I mean, she has a lot of things, she, Parkinson's, but she doesn't take her medications like she should.
Tell them
Her
how old your
doctor-
mother is.
No, I'm not.
His mother is in her 90s.
No, that was my father.
Okay, well, both of his parents are they've lived a long time.
Right,
They're
but,
in great shape.
Yeah, I mean, it helps her. I think that's one of the reasons why she, even though with the Parkinson's, keeps her right.
That's a blessing.
And she has small seizures. You really can't even tell. And that's mainly because.
So I'm going to say, so for you, tell us. So what are some of the preventive things that our young adults should start doing now to prevent?
Drink water.
Yes. We all hold a big sign of H2O. But what are some of the things that you would recommend saying that they need to start doing now to prevent this?
Water. Also, you shouldn't put dead things in a live body. Meat is a dead thing. And meat is just not good.
See, now.
Now, I'm not going to say that.
she doesn't hit the one thing I like.
I asked her a question.
She asked me a
Mr.
question.
Anomaly, come on, I mean,
No,
to each his
then
own.
The
Okay.
one thing
Just
I
show
like.
it.
The one thing.
Now,
Well, we
see,
all
I
like
have
that
to-
meat.
Yeah,
I mean, but it's something
once
that-
a month I got to get me some bacon
Okay,
or something
okay,
in
right.
there.
But
Okay,
you
so
may
I'm
not
just,
eat
you
so
asked
much
me, you
of
didn't
it.
say do I do it. But no, meat is hard on the body.
It's hard to digest, yeah.
Chicken stays in your intestines for 3 days, and so if it's in there, it's also rotten while it's in there.
Oh, wow.
So young people changing that diet, those burgers,
Okay,
that
she just
Wednesday,
scared
that I'm sorry. But whoever's listening, they have nothing to do with this. I'm speaking on my own. But vegetables,
Yes.
fresh vegetables. Cooking takes a lot of nutrients out. So if you're going to cook your vegetables, don't do it so long. Because,
Yeah, don't overcook them.
right, medications.
So steaming your vegetables is
Steaming,
better.
yes. Medications. Talk to your doctor. Find out what it's doing to your body. See if there's any herbal things that you can take. But if you're on medicines, drink twice as much water because you got to get it out or it's stuck.
Liver. So
And
that's
exercise, walking, breathing, oxygen, all of just healthy, normal things.
You, Linda.
And
Darnella.
don't drink.
Darnella actually hit on a lot of the actual things that we talk about at the Healthy Teens, Healthy Tomorrow Teen Summit, and that's actually drinking water, eating healthy food and everything. Don't drink, don't smoke and everything. I used to work for the American Lung
All
Association and
things.
everything.
Oh my God.
And everything in moderation.
Right.
Darnella was talking about meat. I don't eat pork or red meat, but I still eat chicken in moderation and everything. Everything in moderation. And if you do exercise, if you are trying to get it into doing exercise, find an exercise buddy. So you can actually, like, I exercise I walk with a friend, and sometimes I'm just like, oh, I don't want to go to the park and everything, but my friend will call me up and say, hey, I'll meet you at the park. Then I feel all guilty if I don't meet her at the park.
Right.
So
Yes.
it's almost just like, okay, I'll meet you at the park. But when I get there, I have my energy ready and I'm ready to go and everything. So those are the things we always kind of emphasize when we at the Teen Summit is make healthy choices. And that's why we call it Healthy Teens, Healthy Tomorrow.
Great.
Because and also become an organ, eye, and tissue donor. I cannot go anywhere without saying that. And I've been an organ donor since I was 21 years old. That's when I got my driver's license. I was kind of a late bloomer. I did not get my driver's license until that age because I was the youngest of 3 girls, and I was chauffeured around. So
make sure you cut that out.
Yeah.
21. Wow, you were chauffeured around a lot.
I was. Make sure you become an organ, eye, and tissue donor so you can actually save the life of, potentially save the life of up to 8 people by being an organ donor. Yes.
Give us the information again for the event that's coming up on April 20th, I think you said?
April 23rd, we're having an event called Real Sorors Cook. It's a cooking competition, and we're going to be hosted by Chef Eric Wells. It's going to be just like the chopped style. It's going to be a chopped style cooking competition where we're going to have local sororities actually be battle it out, and we're really excited about it. It's going to be a cornucopia place on 72nd and Kinsman Road. The tickets are $20. We're so excited about this. Chef Eric Wells is a local he's a local chef. He's been around for a while, and he actually just knocked at my door and said, we would love to actually come and have you be a benefit for doing this. So we're really excited about it. Yes.
Excellent. And the Teenager Summit?
The Teen Summit is on Friday, coming up this Friday. It is April 20th. We're going to have it at South University, who is a very good collaborative partner. We're expecting 120 15 and a half to 18-year-old teenagers actually learning about organ, eye, and tissue donation and health and wellness.
Excellent.
Yes.
And Darnella.
April, again, by it being National Donate Life Month, we are having a day of education, advocacy, and outreach at Lakeshore Christian Church at 20185 Lakeshore Boulevard in Euclid. Our speaker will be Donna Cryer from Washington, D.C. She's an attorney and also someone that is a transplant recipient, and she is the CEO of Global Liver Initiative. Cleveland Motif will be there, and others to talk about. She'll be speaking about the need for tissue donation. And it's a day of just getting people to know. I'm asking people that have had transplants, come out, let someone see what you do when you donate, the life that you save. You know, some people that are in need, asking them to come out so they can find out more about what it's like or what they need to do. So it's a day of education and advocacy and awareness. From 11 o'clock until 2 o'clock, it's free. So please come out and join us, Lakeshore Christian Church.
Awesome. I'm telling you, we just have so much going on here in the Northeast Ohio area.
Yes, we do.
And that's what's going on with Lady D and Sir John show is all about, is keeping you informed and giving you a platform where you can get the exposure and get your events and things out there.
And for the community to get, information that can help you.
Yes. And please come out and support these events and learn more about taking care of you, loving one's body, and drink H2O.
Wow.
Is that the only thing we don't do in moderation, man? Is water?
Yeah, drink as much water as you want,
Laugh some of them drinks, some cocktail sweet drinks, okay? And them funny smoking tobacco. Well, that's all, folks. We're going to end our show.
Wow.
Thank you for being with us this Sunday. We'll be back next Sunday, same time, same place. And we're the home of what?
25 cent advertisement. Only one this year. Easy.
All right.